Okay, remember part one? If you didn't see part one yet, go watch that. It's funny, I think. It's really up to your interpretation, but whatever. On to the next part. Okay, so you remember bashing myself in the head, getting bashed in the head as a 9-year-old with the snowboard. Let's hear something even better. My youngest brother has recently gotten into snowboarding. He saw videos of it online and he decided, hey, why don't I try that out? And my mom likes to supply us with the means to our own demise. And she goes ahead and she buys him a snowboard and all the snowboard equipment. We had a decent amount of snow, and we have a big old hill over next to the garage over there. He practiced the fundamentals over on there for a couple of months. After all of that, he asked if we could go to an actual snowboarding, skiing hill thing, like a ski resort, kind of. And my grandma thought that was a great idea, because as a kid, she went skiing with her mom, and she thought it was really fun. So we go to the snowboarding place. I don't have a snowboard or snowboarding gear anymore. My youngest brother, I used to have a snowboard, but my youngest brother broke it like 7 years ago, and then we never got back into it. So this would be my first time going properly snowboarding in like 8 years, something like that, 8 or 9 years. And I wasn't very good at it to begin with. Or we go to the snowboarding hill, I rent out some stuff, I rent some like proper snowboarding boots and a snowboard, and I'm out there in like, I have on a t-shirt and my big fuzzy, my big old, I call it a fall jacket. It's my gray jacket. I'm sure I've had a couple of videos where I am wearing that. Maybe. I don't know. We go out to the place and I get my stuff. We go up to the hill. We take up the ski lift. My first time ever being on a ski lift. Both me and my brother immediately fell over trying to get on the ski lift. The lady stops the ski lift and she goes, yeah, you're fine. You're not the first people to do that today. I'm like, yeah, well, this won't be the last time we do it either. And we get up onto the ski lift. She starts the thing back up. We go up. We round ourselves over the hill. And we are sitting and we are staring down at the hill. And my younger brother says, do you want to go first? I don't know. Do you want to go first? So, I ended up going first. So I shift the board over, I lean down, and I start going, and I started gaining speed very quickly, like very quickly. And I'm like, okay, slowing down. How do I do that? And I saw a couple of people like doing a little S thing to slow themselves down. So I'm like, okay, so I'll just turn to the back, and I'll just turn, that way first. So I go to like turn that way a little bit, and I immediately fall over. But I don't just fall over. I fall over going 15 miles an hour. I fall over while I'm going 15 miles an hour down an icy hill with a giant piece of wood strapped to my feet. And I initially fall on my butt, but the speed keeps me from stopping immediately when I hit the ground, and my entire body, like flipping, my entire body flips head over tea kettle so that I am landed on my face. I like, the snowboard is acting as a pivot point, and it flipping launches me, and because I'm attached to it, I go up into the air, and then it forces me over to one side so that I land face first into the snow, and then my entire body scorpions up, and I am now landed face down in the snow. My legs are up, my feet are like up next to my head, and I am just sitting there for a second, trying to figure out how to turn back onto my feet. I eventually figure out that, like, you gotta push yourself up onto your feet. You gotta, like, dip down and touch your toes and, like, work yourself up. And I continue my way down the hill. I crashed one more time. It wasn't as bad. This time I just skid on my butt for, like, 100 feet. And I'm like, okay, good first try. And then me and my brother, he wiped out too, by the way. The second time I crashed, after I stopped, he flipped over top of me. He was going down just as fast as I would, tried to stop, ended up, like, drowning me in snow, and then flipped over top of me and landed, like, in my lap with his snowboard, like, over top of my head. And I just kind of, like, toss him off of me. He goes, yep, I feel like that was the right thing to do. And he goes, you want to try again? I'm like, sure, that sounds like it was a good first try. And we both go over, back onto the ski lift. We nailed it this time. We nailed getting onto the ski lift. And I have a bigger machete than that. There we go. That's a pointing machete. Now, we both were on the ski lift. We nailed it this. Go back up. We start again. We do the whole rigmarole. He goes first this time so that I make sure he doesn't crash into the back of my head again. And we go down. I crashed 3 times this time. Now imagine the first time that I crashed would make that 3 times and going much faster. I flipped. Imagine this was the snowboard. I immediately went bop. I immediately fell over, went up, flipped like that, and the force from flipping like that bounces me up and back over this way, and then I flipped over like this again. I did that 3 times. 3 times. In a row. And then I immediately got up, found my brother, and he goes, I saw all of that. I go, yeah, I saw you fall on your face too, so I don't want to hear crap. He says, fair enough, and we go back onto the thing again. This happened 10 more times. This exact thing happened. I didn't crash 10 more times. I went down 10 more times where I crashed 3 times each. And then, after that, I figured out how to steer. I figured out that when you're steering, you don't lean forward. You don't lean forward. You lean backwards and put all of your weight on your back foot, and then use the front foot to lean the board in whichever direction that you're trying to go. So I didn't immediately fall over every time that I wanted to turn to the left. I crashed 5 more times. I crashed 5 more times after this. I made 2 ways down where I didn't crash. After that second one, I get down, I'm about halfway through, some random lady and her kid shoot out in front of me. They're on skis. The lady's trying to teach their kid how to ski. They shoot out in front of me. And I, in a fit of trying not to run over a child with my big old man body, am compelled to immediately switch over and stop. And then I fly. I went over, I stopped, I hit like this, and then I caught the bottom of the snowboard, caught something, and I immediately went down like this, which sent my body going this way, which sent this whole thing going that, flipping over, and then the weight from that, or the force from that bounced my feet out above my head and back over to the side, where I flipped over again. I did this, I think, 5 more times. I completed that pattern 5 more times before before stopping. About 150 feet later, I had jammed my shoulder so hard that I could barely move my left arm for a solid 10 seconds, which is not normal. I couldn't feel my butt anymore. My entire body was coated in just freshly melted snow. I was soaking wet. And I had so many bruises on me. I could not count them. My entire butt was a bruise. And this is when I decided to get up, unlatch the snowboard from my feet, go over, and just kind of stand for like 10 minutes. We had been here for 2 hours, by the way. Or no, 3 hours. We had been there for 3 hours. And I'm just standing there, holding the board, and I'm waiting for my brother to get back down. And he goes, "Hey, are you done?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm done." He goes, "Okay, can I go down a few more times?" I'm like, "Sure." He goes, "But I want to try the bigger hill." Believe it or not, my brother, better snowboarder than I am. He had a better board than I did, and he had more recent experience and teachings in snowboarding. He wiped out, I think, 3 less times than I did. So, arguably a better snowboarder than I am. He went down I dragged him over to the next biggest hill. I go, "You got like 3 more times." I'm texting my grandma so she can pick us up. And then we are leaving because I am done. And your eyes are red and your entire body is flush white like an albino rabbit. So, you are done as soon as she gets here. He goes, "Okay, but I'm gonna go down the big hill then." I go, "Cool." I drag him over to the big hill, and I'm still holding my snowboard. I sit down, I pull him up to the snowboard, the ski lift, and I go and I sit next to the snow shields, and I plop down the snowboard, and I sit on the snowboard, and I pull out my phone. I text my grandma, I say, "Hey, we're done. My brother is going down one more time, and then we're done." She goes, "Cool. We'll be there in like 10 minutes. I say, "Okay, cool." And then I immediately went on to Discord and chatted up. I immediately sat and texted a couple more people about the current situation. One of them made light of it. One of them was profusely trying to comfort me because of the fact that I just scorpioned 15 times in a row and my back was starting to feel funny. So, fun times! Winter trips doing cool stuff. I hurt. My entire body hurt. My entire body hurt for the next week or so. I jammed my shoulder really hard, and it just didn't feel right for the next, 4 or 5 days. Same with my tailbone and my entire buttocks. And, yeah. So, we're, that was a fun 3.5 hours of skidding my face across skidding my face across a snowy outcrop. I'll see you guys later.